Welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please hit the great big subscribe button down below. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as we go along if you're liking it. I have to let you know that I've got my iPad on charge at the moment. I've been over to see my furry kid Angel today at my parents', so my battery on my iPad's been running low, really low. So I'm hoping the charge will allow me to broadcast this full episode for you. I have seen my furry kid Angel, who's got a lump I found on her, so she's got to go to the vets on Friday, which is unfortunate. As you know, she had major surgery last year, so fingers crossed for her. So in this episode, I want to talk to you about you have the right to be taken seriously. Now, this is so important. So in your life, you may have, especially as a child, in your childhood, experienced people who don't take you seriously, and this can basically invalidate you. Feel like your feelings, emotions, point of view is completely invalidated. And obviously asexuals feel invalidated a lot, you know. We feel like people don't really understand us, that they're saying that, you know, asexuality isn't real or isn't true. It's a phase you're going through. You'll change when you get the right person. You know, just haven't met the one yet. It's like, yep, I haven't met the right asexual one yet. And so, you know, it can be very, very destructive for the soul. And I think the worst thing is when you're not taken seriously as a child, to be honest. In adulthood, it hurts and it sucks a lot as well, you know. I think it sucks at whatever age you are. And I'm here to tell you that whatever age you are, whatever circumstance you're in, you should always be taken seriously. It's a basic human right to be taken seriously, you know. When I was a teenager, something happened in my life. I used to suffer depression, as you know. And I went out with when I was 15 and my boyfriend was 18. I went out somewhere and I didn't feel like living anymore. I just wanted to die because the guy I was with didn't really treat me very well. I wasn't at a good point in my life. I didn't like my life back then. And I went for a trip in the UK to a place called Haytor with him and his brother and his brother's girlfriend and their baby. And his brother ended up caring more about me as just a you know, friendly person, as in I'm having to be his brother, than he did. And there's this place in the UK called Haytor, which is not far from Dartmoor, which is basically countryside with loads of rocks, and you climb up these rocks, climb up like this hill, really rocky Haytor Hill. And to cut a long story short, in that moment I just felt like giving up on life, and I let myself fall down the rocks, you know, which could have been quite deadly. I could have technically died. I wasn't fully up the rocks, to be fair. I was part way up them, but I just let my legs go. I didn't care anymore. And this guy grabbed hold of one of my legs. Hi, Michael. This guy grabbed hold of one of my legs and he saved me. So I didn't get injured. I didn't die. Everything was fine. This is when I was trying to kill myself years ago, Michael, so it's quite serious what I'm talking about, because this video is all about being taken seriously, and I'm telling you something that happened in my life when I wasn't taken seriously. So I'm at a very sensitive point. I said that my iPad's on charge as well, so I hope this video doesn't cut out. So I'm saying that you have the right to be taken seriously no matter what age you are, however old or however young you are. And when you're a child, it can be really, really devastating. As an adult, it sucks, but a child, you know, is very impressionable. And when you're not taken seriously, it really sucks. So this particular time I'm talking about Haytor, which you know is rocks. And this particular time, you know, I was depressed back then. I had suicidal thoughts. So it's completely different to how I am now. And when I went on a trip with my boyfriend at the time, with his brother and his girlfriend and their kid, I was up Haytor, and I didn't want to live anymore. I just wanted to give up. My boyfriend wasn't particularly loving. You know what happened when I was 15 anyway. If you have read my book or you've watched this channel, you know what happened when he tried to do stuff to me, which fortunately I didn't let him do. And so well, some of it, he forced himself on me, didn't he? But luckily he didn't get sex out of me because I physically stopped myself. So, but yeah, so I was at real low in my life. I didn't care about myself anymore, didn't care about life, and I just let myself go. I was halfway up the rock face. I wasn't fully up it. I just let my legs go. So I just let myself go, and this guy grabbed hold of my leg and saved me. So I didn't have any injuries, I didn't die or anything like that, and that's the only time I've ever actually attempted to kill myself, even though I've had suicidal thoughts in the past. And I went home and I told my parents, and they just didn't take it seriously at all. Not at all. They never have done. And I don't say too much about my parents, because I don't think it's right to say much about them. They have good, kind hearts in lots of ways. But at that time in my life when I needed that support and it was a cry for help from me, I wasn't taken seriously. It's like, oh, well, you just fell down or whatever, And I don't want people to be treated this way. Everyone has the right to be taken seriously. It doesn't matter. I was 15 then. It doesn't matter what age you are. Everyone has the right to be taken seriously. I was bullied at school, but again, that wasn't really taken, well, for quite some time, it wasn't taken seriously. I was just told, oh, it's teasing, it's fine. It's not fine. It was horrible for me. It happened quite for a long time, and every person in the world has the human basic right to be taken seriously. If more people were taken seriously that are vulnerable, such as the elderly or children, the world would be really a better place. How many children are abused? And actually by family members quite a lot, sadly. I haven't had any of that, thank God. My family are good like that. I haven't had any, untoward stuff with things like that. But, some people have had family sexual abuse, for example, and some people are, like it may be relatives or something that's done that to them. And it's horrible. But a lot of children, if they say anything, they're not taken seriously. It's because they're a kid. What do they know? It's the same with the elderly. They go into a nursing home, they get hurt, and they try to tell someone, family, it's like, oh, that person's got Alzheimer's. They just bumped themselves. Really? Do you really think all those bruises are just bumping themselves? It's like ridiculous. I mean, my grandma, she had Alzheimer's, technically speaking, but I've only ever, when I was, she's no longer alive now, but there was only one time she never recognised me. One time when she was still in her own home, and she thought I was a hairdresser about 10-15 minutes. Then she twigged who I was. But other than that, she knew me every single time. Other people she didn't know. Even the rest of her family, like my parents, she didn't know all the time. But me, she did. We had such a super bond that was unbreakable. She's still with me today. She's not here physically, but me and her talked about, her death a lot. So we made peace with it. We knew, we like handled that together, and I was with her when she died anyway. But it wasn't taken seriously. With her, I used to go in there and have meetings with the managers about the state of her. They weren't looking after her properly. But it was disgusting, and I actually went on a date with a guy who worked at the nursing home. I shouldn't have done it because my grandma warned me that he was up to no good, this guy, and he wasn't. He just wanted sex out of me. It was horrible. And so even though my grandma had technically got Alzheimer's, she perfectly knew what he was up to, this guy, just by knowing how he was with me in the room. And I should have listened to her, but I didn't. So my grandma was always looking out for me, even though she was technically not always great in the mind, She was just a lot of rubbish, really. And, she was like, yeah, she didn't remember a lot of things with other people. With me, she was really, really good. And so, she wasn't treated very well, and she was made to, I even spoke to one of the nurses there, and I said, she needs to go to the toilet regularly. She can't control it. It's just, it's not good. And the nurse turned around and said, oh, it's fine. She can pee in her pants, pee in her pad because she had a pad on. And it's like they get to go to the toilet once a night. That's what she told me. I thought, well, that's the truth. But anyway, this guy I dated from her nursing home actually told me there is one person in the nursing home that is very abusive, including towards your grandma. It's like, why would he tell me that? Why would he need to lie? I don't know. I mean, but, It's just horrible. And if more people were taken seriously, then less abuse would happen. And this, is true in friendships as well. No matter where you come from in your own life, it's very easy sometimes to see things only in your perspective and not in the perspective and eyes of the other person. And therefore it leads to misunderstanding and you not supporting them. And, you've got to understand that your experiences are not necessarily the same as everyone else's. That where you're coming from, your angle is not necessarily the eyes of the other person. And you have, everyone has the right to be taken seriously. So if someone's saying their feelings are hurt, then you should take that seriously. If someone's saying, look, I'm feeling this way or that way because, when people are using good communication skills, they should be saying, oh, thanks for the thumbs up. They should be saying how they feel. So if a person says, look, I feel this way, you should take that seriously. Just because you don't feel that way, or you wouldn't react that way in that situation, or you wouldn't think that and feel it, doesn't mean to say that other person doesn't and that they're invalid, because they're not invalid. That's their experience, their eyes, their feelings, their emotions. When I was a child, my childhood was very different to other people's. I was very old before my time. And people who have not experienced that adultness in a child's body would not understand the world that I saw back then. I've always been really adult for my age. I choose to be young now because I have that choice, because I live on my own, don't have anyone dictating to me, and it makes me happier to live like a teenager. This is me who I should always have been when I was a kid, but I was very, very adult for my age, very, very super adult. I looked through everything with super adult eyes since a kid. My dad even had me, because my dad had a shotgun license. My dad even had me before the age of 6 shooting a pistol, like a rifle, and who does that before they're 6 years old, especially female? They don't do it. I used to aim it in a tree stump. I remember that, and I was less than 6 doing that. I don't know. It's a very weird thing for a kid to be shown how to do. I can remember at 2 years old, it must have been less than 2, that I was on the potty and my mum saw me naked on the potty, and I became consciously aware that I was on my potty in front of my mum. I was naked, and that's the first time I felt horrible being naked in front of someone. I'm like, no, I don't want my mum seeing this. And I was very, very small, obviously, because I was on my potty. I can remember back when I was up north, my parents moved me down to Devon when I was like 1.5, but I can remember stuff going back years ago to childhood when I was at my grandparents, and I must have been like a kid then. I can't have been a baby. I must have been like a kid. But I remember going around, my mum saying don't touch to her parents. I remember being in my other grandparents' house. I remember going to the toilet, up the stairs. It's just weird. I can remember a lot of stuff that other people can't remember. And so I was always very adult for my age. I mean, if you are spiritual, you believe in reincarnation, then it's entirely possible for someone to be old in a child's body, because obviously you've had a previous life that you can't remember, but you can still have some of that training from your previous life. And maybe you don't believe in reincarnation. Either way, it doesn't matter, because I know I was old for my age, but then I was kind of brought up that way, as well, doing adult stuff. And so, it doesn't mean to say that my feelings are any less valid. When I was suicidal that time, I let myself go, that was real. I really went down the rocks. I could have severely injured myself, or technically might have even been able to die. I don't know if I could have died from that height because I wasn't fully up the rocks, but I could certainly done some damage. And, some people can break their neck on rocks, which is sadly what happened to my auntie. Actually killed herself. She's a manic depressant, and to this day it's really hard. She chucked herself off an actual whole big cliff that went into river and broke her neck. That's how she killed herself. So obviously with Hator, it's not that dramatic. The rocks are not so high. There's no sea underneath. I can't swim actually, so that's really bad. But so it's halfway down the rocks. It's like, but I was 15 years old, I let my legs go. I was sliding down. The guy grabbed hold of me. And it was that moment where I just wanted to give up, and not taking me seriously at that age is just not good, and at any age, If people are suicidal, that should be treated with... It's hard because I know some people are completely suicidal all the time, and you've got to like not get so worried that they're going to kill themselves every 5 minutes, because obviously that's not good for you. If you live with someone or you're around someone who's suicidal all the time, you've just got to realise that they get into a pattern of thinking like that, and it's quite normal for them. But then it's still not a normal thing to do, and you still got to take it seriously that they feel like that. And sadly, if someone really wants to kill themselves over a long period of time, they usually, if they're that badly desperate to do it, they will do it, which is a horrible thing, unless they can get out of that mind cycle and get out of, you know, the situation that they're in and think differently. You know, it depends how bad it is. My auntie had manic depression. I mean, she was seriously trying to kill herself loads, which, you know, is not recommended. And to this day, I love her and I miss her. And she was a most wonderful person and kind heart. There was nothing wrong with her heart. You know, in kindness, she was a lovely person. She would never hurt anyone, just herself. And my mum knew her as a younger person. Sorry, I'm getting really upset now. My mum knew her as a younger person. And it was the fact that her husband had an affair that made her start being depressed and go like that, you know? And so it's horrible, isn't it? You know, see what sex does to people and having affairs does to people. You know, it's more than just having an affair, isn't it? To some people, it means, you know, it's devastating for some people. And she married my uncle, but she was married to the husband that, you know, had an affair. And when she was with my uncle was always like, you know, she was always out, you know, wandered out trying to do it to herself, until eventually she did it, you know. So everyone has the right to be taken seriously, where they're elderly and they're technically not quite with it in the mind. You know, and when you're a young child and, you know, you've got no one really to turn to or talk to. You know, I was absolutely disgusted several weeks ago when I came out of the cinema and I saw this guy with presumably his son, and he was having a go at the son, and he was saying, "Don't you effing say that to me again," and he was really being nasty. And his son must have been, what, 6 or 7? And he goes, "Don't you ever say that to me again." He swore at the son and he was so aggressive. I thought, I bet your wife doesn't even know you're like that. And I saw the boy and I just looked at him because I was like, God, is he going to be all right? And his dad was off having a go at him. I'm like, for crying out loud, he's like 6 or 7 years old. Maybe he's been mouthy to you, but it doesn't warrant speaking to him like that, you know? And that boy now is going to grow up thinking that it's okay for a father or male figure in his life to be verbally abusive, and he'll probably go off the rails because of it. He'll probably want to hurt his dad because his dad's nasty to him, you know. And it's just horrible. I thought, I bet your wife doesn't know you treat your son like that. You know, speaking to him like an adult person, like with the F word, nastily. It's just not good. And he was looking at him going really, you know, really aggressive. I was surprised the kid didn't even want to hit him, because, you know, when someone comes up in your face like that, it's not nice. And so, you know, everyone in the world has the right to be taken seriously. And you might come across some people in your life that don't take you seriously. And if it's a person that unintentionally didn't take you seriously because their lifestyle, where they come from in their life's different to yours, they might just not be able to comprehend you or your situation, and they really genuinely don't intend to hurt you, and they didn't mean not to understand you, and it's just their brain and their mind comes from a completely different angle, you know, then that can be forgivable and it can be worked with. But obviously, if you've got some people that are invalidating your emotions and not taking your situation seriously, and they're manipulating you over it, then that's not good. And some people that do that will be the closest people to you, and it's really sad. And you've got to try and weigh up the difference between someone who genuinely didn't want to hurt you, it's a mistake, they never intentionally hurt you, you know they're like that, and those people who will say things to manipulate you and to invalidate you, and so that they, you know, you do what they want you to do, and it makes, you know, because they can't handle the uncomfortability of your situation, or it doesn't compute in their brain, so they dismiss it, you know. And this is what this video is all about. I just want you to know you have a basic human right to be taken seriously. If people aren't taking you seriously in life, you know, you need to work out whether they're doing it from an unintentional purpose and way, or intentional way, you know, and you need to, you know, if someone's intentionally doing that to you, they're just constantly dismissing you, don't even want to listen to you, don't even want to care or understand your point of view, then obviously you've got to limit your time with those people or get out of being in situations with people like that, because they're no good for you in your life, you know. That, you know, but obviously there might be someone in your life, a friend that just doesn't understand for that point in time, and they've been good and you can trust them up till then, and then all of a sudden they don't get it, they might say something that makes you feel invalidated, you know, talk to them about it and, you know, explain why that you feel that the feelings are being invalidated, and maybe they just don't understand, maybe they can come to understand you more, or you might just have to understand that they'll never understand you. But obviously if a person continues doing that, then that wouldn't be good. But you know, everyone has the right to be taken seriously, and it doesn't matter what your situation is. Like, I know my life as a kid. So for example, I told you that I had like a boyfriend at 6 years old, and recently, because someone was coming from a different angle than I was in their childhood, they didn't see how that was very serious to me. And it was super serious to me, you know, it was a serious relationship at 6 years old. I was passion kissing him. He did something I didn't want him to do, and but I did it anyway and felt guilty about it for absolute years of my life. It was a very bad relationship. It was a blackmailing one. It went on for some time. And, you know, at 6 years old, it was a serious relationship to me. Now, like other people, like I said, I had a counsellor when I was at college who is when I was 17, and she was going, oh, that's just doctors and nurses. It's like, well, no. I knew at the age of 6 it was wrong for him to be asking me to do that and putting that pressure on me. And I knew it felt wrong, and it was wrong, you know, and I was guilty for years. I mean, God, years and years, until I finally plucked up the courage to tell my dad about that incident I felt so bad about for years. He's like, well, don't do that as an adult, which is like a bit, yeah. So, you know, it is really hard, and I just felt so guilty about it because I let him do something I didn't want to do. And, you know, it was very serious and distressing time for me. And the fact that other people come in and just my life and like take that lightly, like, well, you're just a kid. It doesn't matter what age I was. That really happened to me. That really impacted my whole life for a long, long time. And that's the thing. It doesn't matter what age you are. It has, you know, things that happen in your life have a huge significance over your life. You know, especially childhood. Your childhood shapes all your future years. And it's very difficult to rewire your brain so that you feel and think differently about it. It's very, very difficult. You know, you have to deal with a lot of childhood trauma. I know a lot of asexuals, they do have a lot of problems in their childhood. They have a lot of childhood traumas too. A lot of them do. A lot of them have mental health problems. That's not true for every asexual, but a lot of us do. And, you know, I don't know if that's partly because we are different, because we don't experience the sexual attraction. And obviously, I think in part it is because if we're grown up talking about, well, I don't like sex, then again, you could get your feelings invalidated. Well, everyone likes sex. Do you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter if everyone likes sex and you don't, which everyone doesn't, as you know, because the fact is you feel that way and you don't want it and don't like it. You know, and no one has the right to invalidate your feelings like that and not take you seriously. You know, just because everyone else is having crushes on people doesn't mean to say you have to. Just because everyone else feels, I say everyone else because, you know, everyone else doesn't, but just because everyone else seems to experience romantic attraction doesn't mean to say you have to. If you say you're aromantic, don't experience any romantic attraction, of course I believe you. I know it's true. I know it's a real thing. You know, and the fact you even tell me that is your beliefs, your views, yourself. No one knows yourself better than you. No one has the right to invalidate who you are. So everyone has the right to be who they are, you know. And I just want you to know that, you know, if people constantly come in your life keep invalidating you, then steer clear of these people. You know, that might be people who are online, you know, that you might have made some new online friends, and all of a sudden they start invalidating your feelings. These are not good people to be friends with. So you need to move on, say, okay, wish you well, hope you make some good friends, but you're not for me, you know? We're different personality types, you know? And it's really hard, you know, like I was saying at the beginning of this video, Angel's got a lump now, right? And I'm really upset because she's got to go to the vets on Friday. My parents are just like, oh, well, these things happen, don't they? And it's like, I know these things happen, but I'm really upset at the moment, you know? You know what happened with Chestnut? She died last year. Well, really, the vets don't want to be putting Angel through any more surgery. I mean, she's only 2.5, so it's not like she's really old, but she's got a lump on her back. Likely she'll need an operation. And, you know, I'll have to make the decision, does she have it or not? And if she does, you know, she could die like Chestnut did. And I don't want that to happen. So that's going to be something horrible for me. But I need, as myself, I need to express how upset I am about that. How worrying it is for me. How painful it feels for me. Because she's the love of my life, you know. But my parents are different people to me. So they'll be like, oh, well, these things happen. Which, I'm a really emotional, kind, caring person. These things may happen. But I need to vent and let out my emotions and say, I'm upset about this right now. I'm worried about her. I'm concerned. She's the love of my life. I'm so devastated that she's got a lump on her back. I mean, yes, it could be worse. It's a small lump, but it's black, you know, but it's in between some backbones. So it's in a really bad position. Chestnut actually had an operation last year to have a much bigger one removed, and she recovered from that. But as you know, her last stop she didn't recover from, and I've no longer got her. And I had 2 months of grief with her because she bled to death. I found out that she did actually, her heart stopped beating when she was opened up. But you know, it's because of the bleeding, they couldn't find out where it's from. She bled to death. So she wasn't back in her cage, like, sewn up and bleeding to death. She actually lost, her heart stopped beating in the op eventually. And so, you know, when they couldn't find out where she's bleeding from. But it was all traumatic. I don't want to go through that trauma again. But even having her have a lump is traumatic for me. You know, it's really traumatic. And ideally, I need people around me. They're sympathetic, holding my hand, saying, hey, you know, don't worry, you know, like, hopefully she'll be okay. I love you. I care about you. I know you must be upset because she means the world to you. And luckily, I've got good friends, you know. One of my best asexual friends, he's on the message saying, oh, I know she means the world to you. I know you know, you must be feeling really devastated now and upset about it. And I'll say a prayer for her. And I really, you know, hope she'll be fine. And, you know, it's not a casual, oh, these things happen. It's devastating to me, you know. And I'm good at finding lumps, sadly, because I've had years of practice. Like I was saying, I've had a lot of trauma with animals. You know, since I had animals at the end of 2011, all my pets have always been backwards and forwards to the vets with lumps. I don't know why, but I always end up getting the guinea pigs that need major surgery all the time, or surgery, you know, in and out, backwards and forwards to the vets. And it's very distressing as a pet, you know, as a parent to them. Because going backwards and forwards to vets, it's like having a sick child that's always constantly sick, but I've had more than one, you know? And so, you know, she only had her surgery back in November. I only fully recovered in January from it. So, you know, because she had a lump come up on her surgery after she'd had the surgery, and that was over Christmas. So it's only towards, you know, like in January that she got over that, and the lump's finally gone away. So that was where her surgery was. Thank you, Heather. So, you know, it's you know, I wish for everyone in the world to be taken seriously, and I wish for everyone to be given so much sympathy and empathy in their life, because I think that's what's lacking. Some people, they just don't know how to be sympathetic or empathetic towards others. They either have an inability to do that, or they are a narcissist. Like, some people just have an inability to do that because it's the way they are, and they haven't had the upbringing like that, they haven't had family like that, they don't have the emotional intelligence to be like that, you know. And they're just on another planet. Sorry. On another planet to me anyway. I'm on the planet of empathy, sympathy and understanding. to me that's like they're on another planet, but they make me feel like I'm on another planet, and I'm like, no, it's quite natural for me to feel upset about my guinea pig having a lump. It's quite natural for me to be upset and want to be upset, but obviously with people who don't fully get it, the emotion, I can't express that, because it's just like, why are you being that way? It's natural. It's natural for someone who you love, or even a pet who you love and care about so much. It's natural for you to be really upset. And I think it's really good to let that upset and pain out, Like, I've got to go. Some people don't think before they speak. Yeah, I know, but some people just are the way they are, and, you can't change them, but you have the right to be taken seriously in and of your own right, And I just think it's very hurtful when people aren't taken seriously, and I don't want you to be left feeling that it's all right for people to invalidate your feelings, and for other people to be wishy-washy and push things under the carpet, because it's not okay for people to do that. You can't change other people, but it doesn't make it right what they're doing, and like I said, you have to minimize the time you spend with these people, or leave the situation completely if it keeps reoccurring. And like I said, obviously some people might come into your life and they just don't understand. When we all make mistakes, I'm not infallible. I could make a mistake. I could assume something about someone when they're trying to talk to me, because I didn't get the whole picture and I didn't understand it because I was coming from a different angle. So, everyone makes mistakes. No one's perfect. And if someone makes like a one-off mistake about not really understanding you and maybe unintentionally invalidating your feelings, that you need to just talk to that person, tell them how you feel, and hopefully they will understand you and things won't get worse. And so no one's perfect. I'm not saying that everyone's never going to invalidate you, and that everyone's really bad who does invalidate you, because occasionally, it can happen that some people do that unintentionally, because, like say a really wealthy person and a really poor person have conversations, their worlds are completely different. Do you know what I mean? So they won't see things from the same angle. Like for example, some children will have a great childhood. They won't have any problems in it. They'll grow up not feeling any depression, not feeling any anxiety, not having any problems. It's a happy, innocent, sweet little childhood to them, right? So my childhood would be very different to their childhood, as I expect quite a lot of people who I know who are asexual have had problems in their childhood as well, Other people's childhoods might be sweet and innocent. That's not how mine was. Mine wasn't sweet and innocent at all. It's very painful, a lot of it. It's very painful, very adult, very serious. Like I was at 10 years old, I was being threatened by my so-called best friend, who was no longer my best friend, by her brother and his brother. I was being threatened on the hopscotch, I was locked in the garage by her brother as well when I was visiting her. So, this is all trauma, this is all stuff that's very serious stuff. I don't talk about all this stuff that much because it's pretty irrelevant, considering, I've moved on with my life, but it's relevant in the sense that, all childhood trauma, and I know people have it and people don't want to talk about it, but, I'm not that person anymore, but of course that still hurts. Of course, any kid that's locked in a garage that's completely black is just gonna, not really like that, and I think they're gonna always remember that type of thing. Do you know what I mean? And so, anyone who's 10 years old that's being threatened by a bloke, and a bigger bloke, that's being threatened by two guys, it's just going to be horrible, isn't it? You're never going to forget that type of thing. And all that is to be taken seriously. Just because someone else's childhood was wonderful, light, innocent, sweet, or whatever, doesn't mean to say everyone's childhood was like that. And so if you've got someone who's having a sweet, innocent childhood, and it's like, oh, they're just kids messing around, it's like, well, no, they were threatening me. I mean, seriously threatening me. Things went on with me and the friend that I was no longer friends with. The headmaster was involved in all sorts of stuff with allegations and against me, and then her brothers were because me and my so-called best friend fell out because I said that my hamster had died, and I said I wish I was dead, and she goes, I wish you were too. So that's how we fell out, and then we ended up having this fight in the playground, and she was accusing me of things I didn't do, but, you know, I was really upset about it, and then I had her brother threatening me and all sorts, so it's just horrible, absolutely horrible, and his friend, and so, you know, these things happened, these things do happen, don't they? You know, I look back on it now thinking, oh well, it's happened, there's nothing you can do about it, you're a strong person, but I was a very adult, I had to be adult, didn't I had to be adult when people are threatening me and stuff like that. I had to, like, I knew what was going on. You know, I'm not stupid at 10 years old. I can tell perfectly well what they're doing to me and how nasty they're being and how dangerous that situation is for me to be in. You know, so my childhood wasn't sweet and innocent. My childhood was very adult, and, you know, that's the way my life was. And I just want you to know that, you know, you are perfectly valid, you know, and no one has the right to come along and make fun of you or make fun of your circumstances. No one has the right to come along and invalidate your experiences in your life, about how you feel and who you are, and no one has the right to, like, put you down and, you know, push you into being something you're not, just because they're uncomfortable with it, or they can't deal with it, or they don't understand it. You know, not everyone's going to understand everything you do. Not everyone's going to get where you're coming from. But for someone who will not even listen or keep making matters worse, you know, it's not good. So you need to just be aware of this. I mean, sometimes it's your own family, you know, and it's, you just, you know, you have to kind of, like, put in your mind that, okay, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't change them. If they think that way and they believe that, there's nothing you can do. But you just have to know in your heart and your mind that that happened to you. It was real. It's serious. You take it seriously. You know, if they don't, that's their problem. But that doesn't mean to say that they should be doing that and invalidating you. It's a basic human right to be taken seriously. And that includes in relationships. So if you're in a relationship, right, and you've been in a relationship for some time, sometimes people can take you for granted. And you've got to be very careful it doesn't become an abusive relationship. So if you're having any problems, any issues, you should be talking about it, saying, I'm feeling really upset now, and this is why. Because when you said this, it made me feel like this, and when you said that, it made me feel like that. So good communication skills, not about blaming the other person as such, even though you think they might be at fault. But it's about saying how their behaviour made you feel, rather than saying you're a really horrible person, you're nasty, blah, 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 blah. It's not going to get a good reaction. You need to describe the way they made you feel. So when you said this, I felt that. You know, like, people who are non-abusive will listen to that and they'll take it on board and they'll want to try and change and understand your perspective, and they'll be sorry that they hurt you. And they'll be, you know, they'll be, like, trying to listen and understand you more. But the people that are abusive will just continue to not listen, to not do anything about it, to continue to cause you pain, to continue to invalidate you, continue to say everything that you say is not true. And so you can feel like you're going insane sometimes. And, you know, and that's not a good relationship for you to stay in, so you must leave it, however much you like the person or care about them. So, you know, I mean, obviously I've been in abusive relationships in the past, and, you know, that person can invalidate your feelings, especially if they are narcissistic. They will do that type of thing on purpose. They will purposely try and make your situation seem less than it is, or that you're overreacting. This is a big thing they'll use. Oh, you're overreacting. When someone says, oh, you're overreacting, that's completely invalidating your feelings and situation. It's like sticking two fingers up to you and saying your opinions, your feelings, your thoughts and beliefs don't matter. They're irrelevant, and it's like squashing you into the carpet. You don't want to be with that type of person. You know, I've been with that type of person before. The people that are really narcissistic abusers, they will literally, you know, they will invalidate the heck out of you because they don't want the truth. They don't want you to be stable. They want you to, like, I don't know, they try and destabilise you. So they've got power and control over you. It's really horrible. And if you say you feel this way and that and the other, they'll say, oh, you're overreacting. And people who say they're overreacting, I hate that phrase, because a lot of the people that say you're overreacting, it's because they don't understand you. They are really trying to overpower you. They're trying to push their feelings, emotion, and thought on you to push you into behaving a certain way. You know, and it's like tonight, like yesterday, I kissed the foreign guy, as you know. Then I told my parents about this, and they were disgusted that I kissed this guy that I'd only just met, and, you know, they weren't happy about it, and they were being really, really rude about what they were implying about me. And I said to them, I said, I don't care what you think. You know, I don't care. I know what happened. I don't care what you think. It's, you know, it's like, I hardly kissed the bloke anyway because he was a smoker. And I told him I didn't want sex and walked away, you know. And that's great, you know. And I got a asexual friend on Facebook that's saying good for you because you walked away, even though you like Indian guys so much, you walked away, you know, because you wouldn't kiss him anymore because I said it's more important for my health than to get a chest infection again kissing at a foreign guy. So I stopped doing that and told him no. And then, you know, even though he was my type aesthetically, in age, in looks, you know, with clothes as well, and he was Indian, you know, and loved cooking, all those things, I still walked away from him, and I still said no, find someone who wants to have sex with you, because that's what he was after, you know. And that's a really empowering thing, you know. My parents can't comprehend someone who just kissed someone who they've never met before, but I said, you've got my dad, you've been married 50 years this year. She goes, oh, well, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, no, because you're not bothered, you're not me. And so just because someone isn't you and doesn't have, you know, it's not in your circumstances, they're not you, no one should be invalidating your feelings and trying to twist things and say that, you know, that you're a bad person, or, you know, making you feel bad about yourself just because you did something that's not in keeping with what they believe or their behaviour that they want to see, because you're not someone else, you know. You're perfectly valid to behave and live your life as you choose to do it. It doesn't mean to say you're a bad person, it just means to say you're different to the other people. And so they have no right to dismiss or invalidate you. And actually, it was very empowering to do that and just walk away. It was a positive thing, but they took the negative from it, you know, because it's their view of the world, you know. And I appreciate everyone's got different views of the world, but, you know, I was feeling good about the situation that I walked away. So again, my feelings have been like, kind of like, well, completely disempowered, like, oh, what you did was really bad. And it's like, well, no, what I did was really good, actually. I walked away. You know, people kiss all the time. Like, if you're in a nightclub or something, people kiss, you know. It's not what everyone does. It's not what most asexuals would do. But I'm not every single asexual on the globe, am I? I'm living my own asexual life, and I'm, you know, talking about it in order to help you in yours, because we're all different, you know. We're all different. A lot of asexuals don't even like kissing, you know, but it's no different. You know, people kiss at parties and all sorts of stuff. A kiss is a kiss. It's not like the world war, is it? Do you know what I mean? There's people that are having wars out there at the moment. I think that's far more bad, you know, and things to worry about than a kiss. Yeah, you know, and the guy asked to kiss me, you know. It's like, you know, it happened. So, you know, you only live once, in my opinion. If you worry about every single little thing you do, I had no problem with doing it. But, you know, so no one's got the right to come along in your life and invalidate you and make you feel like you shouldn't be doing something or something's wrong. If you want to do that, it's your life. And, you know, and if things happen in your childhood or things you've been through are traumatic, you have the right to be taken seriously on that. Like, some people have got post-traumatic stress disorder, you know. There's one asexual who came to my meetup. He's got that, you know. It's a serious condition. And it's brought about by some trauma in people's lives, you know. And so everyone has the right to be taken seriously, you know. People who get help for post-traumatic stress disorder, they can overcome that. You know, I used to work for the NHS in the UK, so I used to work with helping people with mental health difficulties to recover from mental ill health through social media. But there was other people there that taught different stuff. And there was this one guy who had post-traumatic stress disorder because he saw someone being like, he was had a friend next to him who I think was at gunpoint. I think his friend was killed and he survived. I don't know if there's more, but he basically survived when other people died. And so, you know, that's a very traumatic thing. He had the right to be taken seriously on that. and it led to post-traumatic stress disorder, and he went on to help other people with post-traumatic stress disorder. But some people don't take post-traumatic stress disorder very seriously, but it's a very serious condition. It can really affect your life. It can make you scared to go out of your home. I know one of my friends, one of the people I used to work with years ago, she was attacked, and so she never used to go out of her home, or if she did, it's very limited with her husband, very only certain times of the day, So everyone has a right to be taken seriously, whatever situation there is. It doesn't mean to say they can't change their situation. It doesn't mean to say that they can't look at it differently, but it has to come from them. Do you know what I mean? It has to come from them. And, like I said, not everyone's going to understand you. Not everyone's going to be perfect. Not everyone's going to 100% validate your feelings all of the time, because it's going to be the people that come along that by accident they might invalidate your feelings. But those people have a kind heart. They won't intentionally ever mean to hurt you. They will, they'll be really sorry for doing that, and they'll try to understand you, and that's fine. You can forgive those people if you can find it in your heart to forgive them, and you can move on with them and the situation. So no one's perfect, everyone comes from different angles. So just know that you still have the right to be taken seriously, and just appreciate those who really do and who try to understand you and who care. Not everyone's going to all the time. Not everyone's perfect, but let's try and understand each other a bit better, and let's know that everyone's got the human basic right to be taken seriously. And I hope, this video really does reach out to more and more people, because I think with more and more people be taken seriously, there'll be more people who listen and less abuse happening in the world. Let's hope so anyway. Anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I know it's been quite a serious video tonight. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please hit the great big subscribe button down below. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And thank you, Michael, for tuning in. Thank you, Heather, so much. Love to you both. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the thumbs up. It's really nice to have you here. And I will see you on the next video or live stream. Take care. Lots of love to you all. Bye.